Hi there. Remember me? Of course you don't. It's been about a month since I've given you any content, but no matter. I'm here now, and I'm here to tell you that I'm Linda. This is Linda's World, and this is the triumphant return of Self-Care Sundays. I've got plenty to say for the start of the new year on Self-Care Sundays, and it starts right now. About a year ago, I sat down and I developed the series for this channel called Self-Care Sundays. My idea was that I was going to help my viewers live their best lives, even when they weren't exactly equipped to be living their best lives, through a series of personal anecdotes mixed with psychological terminology. And for the most part, I think it was a win. Then 2020 happened, and I don't think I need to get into details about how 2020 derailed most, if not all, of our self-care plans, and certainly any attempts that we made to live our best lives. Now, I put the kibosh on Self-Care Sundays back in the fall, and then something really interesting happened. You see, I was scrolling along on my phone to purchase things I couldn't afford, and I came to the website of Honeymoon & Co., and I found this sweatshirt. So I paid for it, and it was delivered to my home, and I opened the package, and I saw that it said self-care, and it says more on the back, and I thought, wow, where the heck was this when I was doing Self-Care Sundays? Well, we're back. It's 2021, and Self-Care Sundays is making its triumphant return tonight with the topic of realistic New Year's resolutions. Now, before I get into realistic New Year's resolutions, I just want to pop in for a minute and say that if you're just finding this video by chance on the internet, or if this is not your first time in Linda's World, you've seen a few videos but haven't quite made that commitment to hitting subscribe yet, what are you waiting for? It's a new year, it's new content, and I'd like you to hit that subscribe button right there down below this video. And while you're there subscribing, don't forget to hit that notification bell. Then you'll be alerted when new videos drop to my channel. And how about some realistic New Year's resolutions? What the heck am I talking about? I'm going to tell you. Now here's the thing. Every single year for the past 30 years, I have actually sat down and made New Year's resolutions. And if I look back on the year that has just gone by at the end of December, most if not all of my resolutions have actually come true. Now, this isn't bragging. This is simply because I make resolutions that are realistic to my personal life. I don't go off the rails and start promising that I'm going to lose 50 pounds or all of those other things that people write down. And I have a system to how to make New Year's resolutions that are realistic and feasible that I'd like to share with you. So, here we go. First and foremost, when I make a resolution, I have to make sure that it's feasible. I said that word a moment ago, and it's a word that I live by. Feasible. In other words, you have to make sure that the New Year's resolution that you're making for yourself is something that is possible within your particular world. What do I mean by that? We've seen all the resolutions before. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to drink less. I'm going to quit smoking, vaping, drugs. I'm going to be better to my parents. I'm going to work on my marriage. I'm going to save money. I'm going to buy a new car. All of these things, right? And then in December, when you look back at your list, you may often find that you have not quit smoking or lost 20 pounds or been better to your parents or what have you, okay? It's because we have been not feasible. If you're going to save money, you have to make sure that the amount of money that you have set aside to save is something that's realistic for your bank account. How much are you paid per week? How much are your bills? What does it cost for you to feed yourself? And then take the excess and save it, right? If you're going to lose 20 pounds, have you finished the eating odyssey? Are you setting yourself up such that you are not going to go to the refrigerator every time you're bored? If you're going to work on your marriage, do you have a plan? Is there a therapist in your area that you could take your spouse to work on that marriage? Do you see what I'm getting at here? Feasible. It has to be something that you could have done in December. And the reason I bring this up is because when people are making resolutions and they're doing this new year, new me thing, one of the things people lose sight of very often is that when the calendar changes, when Ryan Seacrest and in years past Dick Clark tells us that it's the new year, life is the same. You know, the house you lived in on December 31st is the house you live in the next day. The people in your life on December 31st, guess what? They're waiting for you on January 1st. Your life is the same. All that has changed is the number. Time is relative, okay? January doesn't need to be called January. It could be called St. Flippant Day. It doesn't matter. And you're still you. So therefore, it has to be feasible within the confines of your life. If you could have done it in December, You can do it now. It's up to you to change. Now, the next rule I live by is another one, which is that I try to be as specific as humanly possible when I'm making my resolutions. I'm never vague. You will never see me write down lose weight. You know, what does that mean? Okay? Because everyone's personal weight loss or whatever is personal to them. What may look like, I'm 5 feet tall. What looks good on me might not look good on you. 105 pounds looks very different on someone who's 5 feet or someone who's 5'11". You know what I mean? So you have to be as specific as humanly possible. So therefore, if you're making a resolution that says, I'm going to quit smoking, right? Let's just take, for instance, then you're going to have to say, okay, what am I going to do to quit smoking? So don't just write quit smoking. You know, you're going to write, I'm going to pare down to 10 cigarettes a day, 9 cigarettes a day, what have you. Then I'm going to buy 1 pack per week. Then I'm going to not buy a pack. You know, you have to make a plan, not just a statement. Specifics. I'm going to lose weight by going to the gym 3 times a week, enrolling in a Zumba class, and stopping going to McDonald's every single night on my way home from work like I do. Do you see? That's not a sentence that's out there in space vague. That's a sentence that you can live by because you have an order of business. And that resolution can come true if you follow the steps that are very specific. Okay? If something is feasible for you to do in your real life and specific, it's something that you can in fact stick to. A third thing that I've always stuck to when making New Year's resolutions is the fact that I never do anything, I never resolve to do anything that isn't something that I specifically want to do for myself. I never allow what other people expect of me to become a resolution. What do I mean by that? Well, you see, we have people in our lives that we have to answer to. Nobody lives in a vacuum, okay? We have parents and children and husbands and wives and boyfriends and girlfriends and sisters and brothers and bosses and employees and neighbors and friends and all of these people. You know, we have pets. We have people and animals in our lives if we're lucky enough. And our relationships with them can be anything. You know, I'm hitting my Christmas tree as I'm talking to you. I was trying to disguise it because this is not a Christmas video. And so basically what I'm saying to you is we have people to answer to. And so these people will want us to be a certain kind of way. It's inevitable. There's people in my life that I wish were a certain kind of way, and I'm sure they wish the same for me. People may want me to not talk as fast. People may want me not to interrupt them sometimes. People may want me to stop making music, movie, and TV references every 5 seconds. Sorry guys, I'm not gonna. But the thing is that that's what they want from me. It's not something that I desire for myself. So I'll be damned if I'm gonna put someone else's resolution for me on my list of things to do this year. Does that make any sense? I resolve as Linda to do what Linda wants Linda to do. I'm not taking notes from the peanut gallery, right? And so if you do that, then you will find more incentive to keep your resolution going. You will find incentive to change this year because you will be doing it because it's what you wanted. It's not what your mom told you was a good idea. It's not something that your husband is always barking at you to do. Okay? It's something that you find for your own self-improvement to be worthy of your time. And that is a true resolution. Another thing that I do to keep my New Year's resolutions fresh is that I don't let the list languish throughout the year. If it's a note on my phone, I look at it and read it sometimes. You know, you ever go through those periods where you're playing with your phone, but you're not in a Wi-Fi range, and so you can't really do much? Like you can't go on Facebook or Instagram, you can't look at YouTube videos, so you have to find something to do. I go through that. So sometimes I scroll my songs on my iTunes, I scroll my pictures and look at my dog, things like that. And so I will go back into the notes on my phone where I keep my resolutions, and I will read through what I wrote in April, in August, in October, whatever. And I'm going to give myself a personal checklist. I'm going to take stock of what I have done. Have you lost the 10 pounds? Have you been better at your job? Have you saved money? Have you paid off that bill? And if you haven't, then you haven't been true to your resolutions. So checkpoints throughout the year are an excellent way of making sure that it comes true. Now this could look any way you want it to look. You could do a monthly check-in. You could do a bi-monthly check-in. You could make it that the first of every other month because you made it on January 1st. It doesn't matter. Make your own order. It's your resolutions. The point is that during the year, even seasonally, There should be some kind of a moment where you open up that list and say, okay, what grade do I get? How am I doing? We used to get graded in school, and our teachers would tell us how we fared on our spelling tests, vocabulary tests, in our science and geometry and so forth. Okay, I knew what my average was in English. I knew, unfortunately, what my average was in chemistry. So therefore, why shouldn't I know what my average is in self-improvement? Right? So therefore, every so often, take out that list and take stock of how you're doing. I have one final tip for you about realistic New Year's resolutions and keeping them, and that is a very simple one. I saved the best for last, and sure, it may be a little vague, but these are the words to live by, folks, and that is this. When you're making a New Year's resolution, please, for God's sake, make sure that it is something in self-improvement or whatever that you actually want to do. Now, there's no crime. There is absolutely no shame in not wanting to be a certain kind of way because society tells us we have to. So, for example, a New Year's resolution saying, I'm going to work longer hours at my job. Well, that is a resolution that really isn't a self-improvement thing because you're helping others with their betterment. Okay, you're not helping yourself. I mean, sure, the money would be great if you work longer hours. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you're doing things that aren't serving yourself. You're doing things to serve your community. And doing things to serve others is a perfectly wonderful thing. But we're talking about self-care. It's self-care Sundays. And so what I mean to say is, if you don't want to, don't write it down. If it's not the time for you to quit drinking, if you're not ready to abandon alcohol yet, for God's sake, don't write it down. If you enjoy food and you're really not concerned with your size and you really want to hit up Burger King every single night, don't put a diet down on that list. It's not going to go anywhere. Okay? If you are perfectly happy being with your distant relationship with your family and you are perfectly fine in your cocoon, well, that's just fine. The phone works two ways. If they want to call you, they will. Don't write that down. Okay, now this might sound like kind of selfish advice, but the thing is, there's a difference between being selfish and being self-motivated. And self-motivated is the only way to keep those resolutions and help them to stick throughout the year. This is self-care Sundays, not other people care Sundays. And I'm telling you a list that works best for you. I've talked to plenty about this list, and I'm going to share with you at the end of this video here a final resolution, a real resolution that I made this December 31st, and that was this. Linda's World is back. Linda's World has gone through a tremendous amount of, well, strife in the past couple of months for various reasons. Linda's actual world, that is, not Linda's World, the channel. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Things have been a little bit haywire around here, and I haven't made new content in an entire month, and for that I apologize. But the thing is that I sat down on December 31st and I resolved some things. And one of the things I resolved, using all 5 of the things on my checklist just now, I resolved to come back to Linda's World strong, as healthy as I could possibly be, and be the best Linda for you that you could possibly ever ask for in 2021. And that's why I'd like to say Linda's World is officially back, and so Self-Care Sundays. Happy New Year. Let's make 2021, well, at least let's make it better than 2020. And I wish you all the success in the world in keeping those resolutions going. And I'm going to see you later this week. Bye.